Welcome back to the Jet Press Podcast. My name is Justin Fried, and I'm joined as always by my good friend Mike Luciano. Mike, it is day one of NFL free agency. The Jets have made 4 signings and a major trade. They don't have a quarterback yet, but we're getting there. How you doing, buddy? What's going on? How's this day been?
Well, they don't have a quarterback. They don't have the offensive line help I think many would like, but
Not yet.
you know what? It's a beautiful day, or it was a beautiful day. The sun was shining. The weather was great.
And we didn't get to
And
enjoy any of it. We were sitting on at our desks, Mike.
especially early in the morning, we got called into action here. But you have to look at this and say, are the Jets a significantly better team than they were even a day ago? And even if you have some gripes with certain signings, it's hard to argue that they're not. There were areas of need that crippled this team last year. And I don't know if they've been fully addressed, but they've been addressed in a pretty significant way. So we'll get into that. We'll get into stuff that could happen. We'll get into hopefully during the stream, nothing crazy happens, but you never know with this team.
There's so much to talk about, man. And honestly, I'm expecting something to break during the stream. If they're going to, historically, the Jets are going to sign a wide receiver during the stream.
I know Wednesdays. It's wide receiver Wednesdays.
Yeah, but it's just every time we stream, I feel like some wide receiver, like they're going to sign Tim Patrick or Jalen Tolbert or whoever, and we're going to have to talk about it.
Let's go and talk before we get into who we're going to talk about. Apple, Google, Spotify, Overcast, wherever you get your podcasts, we are there. And YouTube. If you want to support the show, because we got a good number of you guys in chat right now, subscribing really helps. Liking the stream, it pushes us up. If you have the ability to hype videos, I would implore that you do that because it can get us higher up other algorithmic things here.
I still don't know what that is, by the way.
I think you have to. I'm not sure because I can hype, but then I went on to like another channel and I couldn't do it. So I'm not sure if you have to have a certain number of subscribers or what, but
I don't know.
All I know is that it is a function YouTube has, and it sounds like it would be good if our video got hyped. So
that's true.
Let's go and start with, we're going to do this kind of chronologically because it also sort of happened in order of importance because the biggest move of the day, if you take the names out of it, happened bright and early. We were going to start working at the middle of the day, and then all of a sudden at 9:30 in the morning, the Jets in an intra-division trade with the Miami Dolphins acquire Minkah Fitzpatrick from Old Bridge, New Jersey, and St. Peter's High School in Jersey City.
Hell yeah.
He's back in New Jersey. They acquired him just for a 7th-round pick, which means they were probably going to cut him anyway, and then sign him to a 3-year, $40 million contract extension, which is kind of in line with what some of the other top safeties on the market earn, like Kobe Bryant or Brian Cook. That kind of seems like where Fitzpatrick's market was with the Jets right now. And they got him for a 7th-round pick, which, as Will Parkinson pointed out, was acquired in the Jarvis Brownlee trade. So essentially for a 6th-round pick, the Jets got Jarvis Brownlee and Minkah Fitzpatrick. Minkah is not going to be the all-pro that he was in Pittsburgh, but I think he gives the Jets the ability to do one of two things. Either one, they have him kind of just be that center fielder because he, even though he didn't have a ton of picks last year, he's a turnover generator, super duper smart, can still tackle well. And in these days now where I was reading about how there's a growing trend of safeties wearing the green dot nowadays, Minkah might be in contention for a green dot wearer because he just has this orchestral conductor level control over a defense. And so you could just have him hang back there and then Malachi Moore and bam, those are your safeties. There's a connection, obviously, with Brian Duker, who's the defensive coordinator, and Ryan Slowick, who is the safeties coach. Both of them worked with Miami's defensive backs last year. I'd imagine Minkah likes them because he probably had to have some sort of input on this trade. So that goes through. Or what the Jets can do now, too, this is what Duker had him doing last year. Minkah played in the box and near the line of scrimmage more than he ever did before last year. In this age of the Nick Eman-Warwick, Kyle Hamilton, big nickel, maybe they put him closer to the line of scrimmage on a couple different plays. The versatility that he gives you is going to be his biggest asset at this point in his career. But the reason I like it the best, quarterback's obviously been the biggest black hole on this team for the last 15 years. In terms of just talent, is safety number 2? I mean, think of just the duds and the also-rans and the flotsam that Tony Adams, back before he stunk, he's one of the best safeties the Jets have had in years.
He was still arguably their best safety on their roster last year, Mike. Maybe Malachi Moore. It's not good.
That's just how bad it's been the pits for the pre-Minkah Fitzpatrick Jets. Now they get him for basically nothing in a trade. They give him a contract that I think is pretty fair considering what the market is. This move, I don't want to say it's a home run move, but Darren Muji, that might be one of your better trades. If Minkah is not, which I don't think he is, I think he's still got a lot left in the tank. This is a guy that Aaron Glenn can install his defensive vision with.
Listen, man, Muji knows how to trade. The jury is still out on him if he can find the right free agent signings. We're going to talk about that in a bit, and where the jury is still out if he can find talent on day 3 of the draft. But the man can trade, whether it's the Juwan Briggs trade, the Harrison Phillips deal, the obviously Sauce and Quinnen trades, to Jarvis Brownlee, to now Minkah Fitzpatrick, who, like you mentioned, Mike, is still a really, really good player. I know people are going to be like, "Oh, why did the Dolphins just trade him for a 7th-round pick to a division rival if he's still good?" Well, there's a few things with that. One, I first of all, I do think that I'm a little surprised they were willing to trade him to the Jets, but I just get the sense they don't really care. They don't really view the Jets as a serious threat, and they're not trying to contend right now anyway, which is probably the biggest reason that they did trade him. He was on the final year of his deal, looking for an extension. They are they have a new coaching staff that's come in. They are overhauling a lot of their roster. I don't want to use the T word. I don't want to say tanking next year, but they're certainly not trying to win the Super Bowl next season. Now, they did just sign Malik Willis, so that's a big money ticket, big ticket signing for them. But I don't get the sense that they are looking to load up this roster right now. So they were kind of looking to shed spare parts. Everyone knew that they wanted to move on from Minkah. The Jets were even connected to him. I believe, shout out Rich Samini. I think he was the first on the Minkah rumors a couple of weeks ago.
He was talking about Minkah.
Yeah, so he was the first on that. So this didn't come out of completely nowhere. But yeah, Miami wanted to move on, and they were probably going to end up releasing him if they didn't trade him. And this is a really good year to need a safety. The free agent safety class, this is one of the best safety classes that I can remember in free agency.
I'm surprised there wasn't more money handed out to these safeties. I thought Brian Cook's deal was pretty good. I thought Kobe Bryant.
You know what it is, Mike? You know what it is, Mike? Scarcity is what drives up the market. There's a lot of good safeties.
That's why Jalen Phillips got $30 million a year.
Why Alec Pierce just made $29 million a year. Because who else were you signing a wide receiver? Wan'Dale Robinson? Nobody. There's no one out there.
That's why Javon Kinlaw got $15 million last year.
There's a lot of good safeties out there, and there were a lot of good safeties in free agency, and also it's a really good safety class in the draft as well. So it was a combination of factors of, the Dolphins just weren't going to be able to get a lot for him because everyone knew they wanted to move on. You needed an extension, and he's 29 years old, so not every team is jumping at that opportunity. It uniquely makes sense for this Jets team that you mentioned his versatility. Look, everyone's going to throw around Brian Branch as a comparison here. I think Aaron Glenn could absolutely use Minkah Fitzpatrick as the Brian Branch of this defense. And as for the green
Tony Adams could not have been a Brian Branch last year. I mean, like
Malachi Moore is your poor man's Brian Branch. Like that's that. And that people mentioned that when the Jets drafted Malachi Moore, it's like, oh, he can kind of be that do everything defender. He's just not good enough right now. And maybe he gets to that point. I'll say this too. We can talk about what this means more for like his future. I don't think Malachi Moore should be penciled as a starter yet. I think the Jets absolutely
could be on the team. I don't think he's penciled in as a starter.
Yeah, I think the Jets could sign another safety. I don't think that is completely ruled out. I'd keep an eye on Ifeatu Melifonwu, who crossed paths with Brian Duker and Aaron Glenn in Detroit and Miami.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather play him over Melifonwu, but
no, I agree. I'm just saying to provide competition, and I also wouldn't rule out them using one of those top 4 picks on a safety in a really good safety class. But yeah, Fitzpatrick, as we're going to talk about with Demario Davis, another signing that they made, and David Onyemata too. He raises the floor of this defense so much, Mike. They needed adults in the room on defense. Like that's the best way to put it. They needed a floor. They needed leadership. They needed stability. And Minkah Fitzpatrick is going to give them that. And he comes at a really, really reasonable price, even ignoring the 7th-round pick, because people are the biggest mistake fans make when they see a trade is they think that the draft pick in these trades is the biggest asset being given up. No. The capital you're paying that player is the biggest asset. So the 7th-round pick is just to facilitate the trade. So you're giving
just to make sure nobody else had the chance to
correct. What they're really giving up, the slice of the pie they're giving up, is the money that they're giving him, which $13.3 million average annual value is what's being reported. That I believe that makes him like the 12th highest paid safety.
That's basically what the Titans are paying Amani Hooker. It's what the Broncos are paying Talanoa Hufanga.
And it's what the top of the market just got. Brian Cook, Kobe Bryant got very similar deals to that. And
that's kind of where he is across the league as a safety.
Mike, unbelievable timing. The Jets just signed a safety. Look at that.
Are you kidding me? Which safety is it?
Look at that. They signed Dane Belton from the Giants.
Okay, well,
that is exactly the type. That's the Ifeatu Melifonwu type signing right there. According to Jordan Schultz, the Jets are signing Dane Belton, 1 year, $4 million, upside up to $6 million.
So he's that. There's your Malachi Moore competition.
There's your third safety that's going to be competing with Malachi Moore. I would assume they probably don't use a top 50 pick on a safety now. It's still a consideration. I don't think Belton prevents you from doing that. It would have to be a Azaria Thomas situation where they're just like
Emmanuel McNeil Warren falls a little bit, or
right. We love the value, but that makes it less of a need because now they have three safeties that they probably like. Yeah, that's really funny timing right there. But do we have any more thoughts on Minkah, Mike?
Well, here's the thing on Minkah. We mentioned this before last year. We always talk about if player X is your worst in a certain unit, you can work with that. Like with the offensive line, if Josh Myers is your worst, you can work with that. And what do you know they did? Well, now if you go into the year with a defense and Malachi Moore is your worst defensive starter, you can work with that. You can totally work with that. Belton's obviously not a tremendous, like, especially coverage player. I don't really think he's that amazing, but from what I remember watching the Giants, because I remember he was an Iowa guy, pretty good tackler. I think they move him around a bit. You could certainly do worse for backup safeties out there. I think Moore's 1A, he's 1B, but that can very much be changed right now.
This move, I'll tell you one really quick, Mike. I wonder if this means that they plan to move Minkah back to that free safety role because they don't really have a ball hawking center field safety right now. Like they really don't. If they're
I guess it would be Minkah.
Yeah, it would have to be. Like I feel like this kind of signals to me that they don't plan to play him as much around the box as Miami did last year, which I don't hate. Like he got a lot more.
Or you could do that anyway, and then Emmanuel McNeil Warren or whoever at 33. Sure. He's your ball hawking safety with Moore and Belton, and then Minkah's like this big jumbo nickel guy. The point being, they now can line up in 2 or 3 different ways they could not before they made this trade.
Belton last year, by the way, 90.6 PFF tackle grade, missed only 4 tackles, has had a sub 10% missed tackle rate in 3 of his 4 seasons. So really good tackler.
We're slowly learning trends of what these guys like. They really do like DBs who can tackle.
I'll say this too, and this is just a broader conversation about the Jets' move so far this offseason. Boy, did they prioritize run defense. Like, I know it's not something that we talk about a lot because it's boring, right? It's like drafting an offensive
Jerry
line.
Jones thought it was so important he traded Michael Parsons.
That's true. Every signing today, maybe with the exception of Joseph Asai, is like a run defense.
Even that is,
he's not a bad run defender at all. But like Onyemata, Enigbari, who we're going to talk about, both of those guys. Demario Davis is still a really good run defender. Minkah Fitzpatrick's a great run defender too. Like he's absolutely not a bad run defender.
PFF had Minkah at what in terms of safeties this year? It was pretty high.
He was 7th. PFF had Fitzpatrick.
7th, 9th in coverage, 13th in pass rush, 17th in run defense. So well-rounded as the day is long.
Yeah. He has never, again, take PFF with a grain of salt. He's never really had a bad year. Maybe his first year or second year in Pittsburgh wasn't amazing according to PFF, but every other year he's graded out extremely well. The interceptions haven't been there as much in recent years. Only 2 interceptions in his last 3 seasons, but over the first 5 years of his career, he might have been the best ball
pro every year
in football. Yeah, he had 6 interceptions in 2022, and I think part of the reason for the lack of ball production, if for lack of a better phrase there, I guess, the lack of the interceptions was because they played him so much down near the box last year. So he didn't have as many opportunities. I think if they play him more as that free safety type player that he had been in the past, which given that they have Malachi Moore and Dane Belton on their roster now, that would signal to me that they probably will. I think you're going to see that, the interceptions and pass breakups numbers go up.
Let's go to get to a couple comments before we move on to our next segment here. J Mark, those Brees tweets, dude. He couldn't leave well enough alone, man.
He's still got a little Robert Saleh, in him.
The Mo guys. Yep. Which, by the way, apparently the Titans. That's going to be the ultimate test in how bad is the New York media. If the Titans are good with the Jets coaches and the Giants players, that'll be the real test.
Yeah, it will. You're right.
Phil Labongo, anyone other than Tony Adams at safety.
Yeah, Tony Adams will not be back. I can promise you that.
And J Mark, what about that Linderbaum contract? I wouldn't have given him that amount of money. That was insane what they gave him.
The Steelers are signing Rico Dowdle. Interesting.
Oh, wow. Huh. But that was insane what they gave Linderbaum. The next highest paid center is $18 million.
What was it?
He got $27 million a year.
Yeah, I know I said give him the Mosley contract and kind of break the bank for him. $27 million is preposterous.
That'd be like if you gave a linebacker this year $27 million as an inside linebacker.
Yeah, $27 million is preposterous. I don't blame any other team for not doing that. I get why the Raiders did it. They had money to burn, but the Raiders are signing everyone, dude.
The
They're
rumor
signing.
was that the Ravens' final offer was 4 years, $88 million, which is 22. That's as good as it can get.
Really good deal, and that extra year is a sticking point. I'm sure. I think Linderbaum loves having only the 3 years there, so he can hit free agency again, kind of in the prime of his career. Yeah, it's a crazy contract.
It reminds me of when the Yankees didn't get Juan Soto and they offered him like $700 million. It's like, look, what else do you want from us? We offered him $700 million, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's as much as we could do. Let's go talk about, we talked about I'm coming home.
Hell
I would not have thought that Demario Davis at age 37.
Dude, I'm so happy.
Home.
I'm so, he is, and I forget, I think I've said this in the show before. He's one of my favorite players of all time. Honestly, one of my favorite athletes of all time across.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
Probably not. He's probably a Hall of Very Good.
He has a case.
How many All-Pros did he make?
He's made, I think, only one first team, but he was second team like 4 or 5 years in a row with the Saints.
That feels like the CJ Mosley syndrome, you know? But look, the longevity
Ken
matters.
Riley never made a Pro Bowl. He made it, so you never know.
Longevity does matter. I do think it's going to be held against him, though, that he was kind of not great the first half of his career. And it was only when he joined the Saints.
Oddly enough, linebackers at 30, people get scared. He turns 30, goes to the Saints, and has this renaissance. By the way, I think some people didn't like this signing for a couple reasons. Number one, I think for some reason everybody just assumed it was going to be Alex Anzalone who signed with the Bucs,
who got a cheaper deal, by the way, than Davis, which was interesting.
Dominic, my younger brother, he is not thrilled because Anzalone was his guy. He's a Lions fan. That's his guy. He's now in Tampa Bay. So, but I think also because Anzalone got less money, people are viewing this as an overpay. And honestly, I think some people have Tyron Smith syndrome fatigue, where they think they're getting him on the back end, and that even though Tyron Smith had crazy injury history and Demario Davis does not.
Dude, Demario Davis, again, I don't want to Chuck Clark this right now, but Demario Davis has played 16 or more games in every year of his NFL career. He's been in the NFL since 2012. He's played 14 seasons, and he's never played more than or fewer than 16 games.
He played 1,079 snaps last year, 6th highest graded linebacker in PFF, 7th in run defense, 13th in coverage. Like, the guy, he can still be really good.
He's still awesome. He's still a really, really good linebacker. And more importantly, again, this goes back to the Minkah trade where the Jets needed stability. Like, they needed a floor on defense. Aaron Glenn prioritized bringing in guys that he can lean on. Obviously, there's the familiarity with Demario Davis dating back to their days together in New Orleans. So he knows this is somebody that he can trust, that he can lean on both on the field and off the field. Because I think the Jets know that they're probably not winning 12 games next year. There's going to be times when shit's not going their way, and they need a CJ Mosley type in that locker room. And I think the Jets really missed that leadership last year. I think they wanted Jamie Sherwood to be that guy, and he couldn't. He just could not be that guy. And I honestly,
on the field and off the field, he couldn't be that guy.
And I think
you can do one or the other. Ideally, both. You can try to get by with one or the other, but Sherwood did neither.
And I think this is a really good signing for Sherwood as well, because this will allow him to move back to his natural will linebacker position. I'm assuming Davis will, like you mentioned, Minkah being the green dot wearer. I mean, they got two guys who would be a green dot wearer for half the league.
Demario's basically assistant head coach and co-defensive coordinator at this point. I mean,
like that. He is maybe the most trustworthy, like other than like Bobby Wagner. What other linebacker are you trusting from like a veteran leadership standpoint of just knowing?
Find me a human being that has anything less than the most glowing things to say about Demario Davis.
Right. He's just a wonderful, wonderful person, and a wonderful leader, and still a fantastic football player. You know, you never know when when a player at 37 years old is going to hit that wall and fall off the cliff, but he certainly has not to this point. And it's also not like, I know you might say overpay, whatever. It's really not a major financial commitment. It's 1 year, 11, like they gave him $11 million guaranteed. They can get out of this deal after 1 year if he sucks this year.
And he's the 6th best PFF linebacker. This is not overpaying for past glory.
But even if it is a Tyron Smith situation and he does suck this year, it's not like you're stuck to him for 3 years. Like,
they paid him $3 million more a year. Like, is that really burning a hole in your pocket to get a guy like Demario Davis?
No, I'm very happy. Like, I don't think Demario Davis is going to win a Super Bowl with the Jets. I don't think he's going to fit their window, but that wasn't the point. The point was raising the floor of their current defensive group right now. And hopefully I would expect, or at least I would not count it out, that the Jets draft a linebacker at some point. This is also a very good linebacker draft. And I feel like the Jets, somewhere in the middle round, maybe 4th round, they take a chance at a linebacker that they can develop behind Davis, and probably because I'm going to assume that they move on from Sherwood after 2026. I think that's probably still in the cards.
Yeah. Or they could get some sort of offer now. Who knows?
They could. That's 100%. I think sure. We mentioned this last week, I think, when we are talking about other Jets players that could be traded after the Jermaine trade. I think Sherwood makes the most sense. Especially now after adding Demario Davis. Like, obviously they'd need another starter if they move on from Sherwood, and, they can possibly find someone. But I think it's definitely on the table if they could find a taker for his contract.
You know who I think this is great for if they take this guy in the draft? Arvell Reese may come to a team with Demario Davis and Carl Dunbar.
Yes.
Some guys always complain and bemoan the lack of veteran leadership. I mean, I know he's going to play pass rusher, but for, an outside linebacker who's going to rush the passer, can you find me two better guys than that?
Who else
on the field, one coaching?
You know who else is great for, Mike? T'Vondre Sweat, who is somebody that there's been a lot of concerns about his work ethic, his, whatever you want to say, going back to his, when he was with the Titans. There's a lot of stuff coming out of Nashville about that. I think having a guy like Demario Davis in the room to keep guys in check if someone is, either losing their cool or just not giving the effort you want to see. Like, I think some of the benchings that we saw with the Jets last year, whether it was Jamie Sherwood or Quincy Williams, that were kind of like not performance based, I don't think you get that with Demario Davis on this roster. And I think Aaron Glenn knows that very well. I also think, by the way, not to, we could transition at some point to Joseph Asai. I think the Joseph Asai signing is really good for T'Vondre Sweat. They played together at Texas. So that's a guy that he knows very, very well. And I think just adding that familiarity is super important for this defense. Like, Aaron Glenn is bringing in guys that fit well together, that, whether it's they fit well in his defense because he has familiarity with them from previous stops, or it's guys who have played together in the past. Like, I really like the makeup of this Jets defense right now. I think outside of just adding players, they added players that really fit together well. And I very well see the vision for what Aaron Glenn has for this defense. Again, how much of a bearing this is going to have on their 2026 success, that's going to be dependent on who they have at quarterback. And right now the options for that are bleak, and we will talk about them soon. But I really like what they've done with the defense, and it's hard for me to be mad about any of that.
You can't get guys, especially on the field, with a higher I give a shit quotient than Demario Davis.
Absolutely.
Harlem born and bred says we picked up Dane Belton. Yes, we did.
Yep.
We discussed him. We were talking about.
We briefly talked about him. Kind of more of a traditional run stopping box safety, but somebody who can push Malachi Moore and is a really ideal third safety. I'm sure, I don't know this, but I'm sure he also plays specials, which is part of why they brought him in, I'm assuming.
Cisco says, how does this affect the 2nd and 16th pick? We'll get to that a little bit later.
Belton is a core special teamer. Belton. Really quick, Belton played 70% or more of special team snaps for the Giants each of the last 3 years. So there you go.
And then, so maybe that was a Chris Banjo thing too. And J Mark, every contract done by Moogs is not that concerning over time. It doesn't feel at all like Joe Douglas's contracts. I don't think he's given out any 4-year contracts. I think 3 years is the longest one.
And then that was Asai and Minkah. And the Asai deal is basically 2 years, 22 million, 23 million, something like that, where they can very easily get out of that after 2 years based on the structure of it. And then the Minkah trade, the Minkah deal, we haven't seen the structure of that one yet. But I mean, look, if you're gonna give a 3-year contract to any player, it makes sense that you're giving it to the former All-Pro, a guy who was a Pro Bowler 2 years ago and is still playing at an extremely high level. On that note, I saw somebody compare what the Jets have been doing this offseason to Mike McCagnon in 2018 when they signed, or no, I think they did say 2015.
Well, that was the good McCagnon, and then he never got back to it.
I think they did say 2015. In my head, I was, when I think they did say 2015, in my head, I was thinking 2019 when they signed Le'Veon and Tremaine and all those guys. I think it's very different approach this year to what it had been on, with McCagnon. The Jets are taking measured swings in free agency right now. I think ideally free agency should be used. Hold on, we're gonna get there. Free agency should be used to take upside projection swings on guys that, like a Joseph Asai, we're gonna talk about in a moment, where a younger player, 25 years old, maybe you think he's a better fit in your scheme and you believe that he can produce more in your system. That's a player you take an upside swing on. Or maybe you're using free agency to bring in high floor players, guys like Demario Davis or David Onyemata, who are not going to break the bank because they're kind of on the downside of their career right now. They're the latter stages of their career, but they just significantly raise the floor. I think free agency should be used for those floor raisers and for those projection swings. And I think that's what the Jets have done so far.
A good blend of both. It's like for every measured risk, they're like, all right, let's tone it down a little bit. Perhaps the most, I would say, surprising contract in terms of last year it was Brandon Stevens, and that one turned out to be pretty good, actually. This year it's Joseph Osai, formerly of the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, normally I wouldn't say, oh, you're picking from the immortal Cincinnati Bengals defense, especially their defensive line. Osai is a former third-round pick, high third-round pick. Up and down, I would say. 14 and a half sacks throughout his Bengals career, 10 in the last 2 years. This is a guy where I do think he's never going to be a double-digit sack guy, but I do think that he's a better pass rusher than 5 sacks would indicate. I think he's kind of listed at a couple different places. I've seen kind of 260, 263 at a couple different spots. A little bit bigger. Definitely better at defending the run than a lot of the stooges the Jets have employed on the defensive line over the last few years.
Hey, man, don't talk about Will McDonald
like here's the thing. We'll get into the other guys, too. Like, even if these guys aren't world beaters, to have your depth, instead of it being Colin Saunders and Jay Tufele and Eric Watts and Braden McGregor, to have your depth be Joseph Osai and David Onyemata and Kinsley and Agbare, like, that immediately, it may not affect wins and losses, but it immediately makes you better. And Osai specifically, I don't think he's going to start because I think they're going to go 3-4. I still think it's Sweat, Phillips, Briggs are going to be the defensive linemen. And then Arvell Reese, I think, is the favorite for number 2. And then Will McDonald on the edge. But Osai is going to be that number 3 guy. And I think Osai is going to push Will McDonald. I think in run defense situations, they're going to take Will McDonald off the field and put Osai in. Because I really think this defense, this defensive staff, and Darren Moody are so scared of Will McDonald's inability to defend the run. I think they just gave up on it.
As they should be. Like, he is arguably the worst. I would say he's the worst run defending edge rusher that plays over 40% of
So I think that they're saying one of two things happen here. They're saying if Will McDonald is great and he gets 10 sacks this year again, because we may actually have a lead for a little bit and he's not just playing to defend the run down all the time, then Osai is a nice complementary piece in a market where Jalen Phillips is getting $30 million and Odafe Oweh is getting $25 million. Getting Osai for $12 million when you have all this cap space to burn is not that bad at all. And if Will McDonald struggles, they can say, well, you know what? The pass rush isn't really getting there like we wanted to, and that's his whole appeal. Now we have Joseph Osai, so our pass rush isn't wholly dependent on a rookie who's still developing in Arvell Reese. They needed to get a guy like this. I don't think any of us tagged Osai as that kind of guy, but they needed somebody like this. And I think in terms of what he brings as a player, I can't really find too much fault with this contract when they have so much cap space.
No, and he's coming off a career year too. Like, this is an ascending player.
Well,
which
career year, best year of 4.
I mean, yeah, well, it's not. Is that not a career year?
Implies like he went nuts and had he had 12 sacks.
No, it doesn't. It implies the best year of his career. That's what that's literally what that phrase means.
It has sort of like
I'm not using that about
career year means like this is the best year he'll ever have in his career.
I don't mean it that way. All right, Mike, I'll amend what I said. He's coming off the best year of his career. He had career highs in pressures, pressure rate, win rate, which I don't really care about, PFF run defense grade, and he played the most defensive snaps that he's ever played in a year. I think he played over 65% of Cincinnati's defensive snaps last season. So he's somebody that they clearly believe is on the up and up, right? Is a rising player in this league. And I think they also view him as somebody that is a better fit for what they want to run defensively. You know, I was looking back to some of his old scouting reports. I remembered watching him at Texas, and I remember him coming out of the draft, but I forgot.
He was always kind of a raw player. I remember him being viewed as.
Yes. Well, he's born in Nigeria, which, by the way, shout out.
The Jets have now signed 2 players born in Nigeria and another of Nigerian descent. So.
Yes, they signed David Onyemata and Joseph Osai are both Nigerian, and then Kingsley Enagbare is of Nigerian descent. So they're going full Nigerian tonight.
We'll see. Maybe Nigeria was the football hotbed that the Jets have been missing out on all these years.
Maybe. Who knows? There's been some good Nigerian edge rushers.
And what's the I'm pretty sure Max Nachor this year in the draft is supposedly that guy. So
I think Yannick Ngakoue is Nigerian.
I believe he is, yes.
He's I think he's West African.
NFL players born in Nigeria.
But I don't know. Actually, I don't know if he's Nigerian. Now, this
you know who is? I remember.
Is Samson Ebukam
O.C.
Nigerian?
Umenyor, I remember he was one of the first ones.
Yes.
Oh, remember Prince Tego Wanogo? I remember the name Prince Tego. I remember that.
He didn't work out. But anyway.
Also, Jets legend Kingsley Jonathan, who I think he put his first name in the last name box and the other way around.
I think if you'd see anybody named Kingsley, they're Nigerian. That's like a super Nigerian name. But anyway, we're getting sorry, I love ethnicity talk. I love okay, that sounds weird, but I just love learning about cultures.
That's the weirdest way you could have phrased it.
It wasn't. Yeah, I guess you're right. Whatever. What was I don't even know what I was.
Joe Sposai, raw player out of Texas.
Oh yeah. I was looking at some of his old scouting reports, and a lot of people said that he projects better as a 3-4 outside linebacker, which I think obviously in Cincinnati he played as a 4-3 defensive end, so he was playing. I don't want to say out of position, but in a role that I think a lot of scouts didn't project him as, and so probably the Jets are looking at him and they're saying this is a guy that with his long arms, he's got a high motor. They might project him better as a 3-4 outside linebacker in their scheme. So that is, I think, part of it. Sorry, I'm a little shook. As Brian said, I need to be on the list. Listen, man, these flags behind me, I don't know. I love learning about cultures. Okay, I'm gonna stop before I say something.
Doesn't Osai kind of remind you of Brownlee in that he basically played out of position for his whole career, and the Jets are like, well, if we put him in position, then it's profit after that. And Brownlee wasn't amazing, but he was better than he was in Tennessee when he was playing mostly in the slot.
Seems like another high motor guy too, kind of plays with his hair on fire. Like I think that's the type that Aaron Glenn is looking for. And I think Joseph Osai is that type of guy.
So let's go and get to some comments too. Rob Davila says 3-4 and big nickel with Brownlee in terms of how the defense is going to be.
Maybe, yeah. Well, we'll see. They obviously could add some more pieces.
If they draft Reese, Osai's probably still going to play like maybe a third of snaps, maybe close to that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm glad you brought up the depth thing, Mike, because that's been my biggest takeaway from the Osai signing, the Enagbare signing, and Onyemata. We're going to talk about them in a moment here. They didn't necessarily add a game-changing edge rusher with any of these guys, but they weren't going to be able to do that in free agency because unless you were paying Jalen Phillips $30 million or Kwity Paye 25 or whatever else, right? And those guys, calling them game changers is also like a little. I love Jalen Phillips, but
not that much.
This is not Max Crosby, right? This is not Max Crosby we're talking about. So unless you were paying that money to a guy like that, you weren't going to be able to do that. That player is going to be Arvell Reese or David Bailey or whatever they do at number 2. We're going to assume it's Arvell Reese right now. What you did is you fixed your depth because now instead of trotting out, like you said, Braden McGregor and Michael Clemens and Colin Saunders and fuck all at defensive end,
Watts, Braden McGregor,
there would be 4-man. Dude, there would be 4-man groupings last year where they would have on the field Braden McGregor, Eric Watts, Colin Saunders, and Peyton.
None of whom were NFL players.
How
they didn't get any sacks. I wonder why.
How do you expect the defense to function like that? So now you're protecting yourself against that because you have right now, you're already 3 deep at edge rusher and you're going to add Arvell Reese. And that's 4, like I would say, not only just good edge rushers, but guys you're investing a good amount in. Will McDonald, they're paying a good amount to because they're going to pick up his 5th-year option. I forget if they already have, but they're picking up his 5th-year option. Enagbare, you're paying $10 million to. Osai, you're paying $12 million to. And then Arvell Reese, you're drafting 2nd overall. That is a lot of money invested at edge rusher. And then the interior defensive line, Briggs, you didn't invest a lot in, but he's a really good player. Harrison Phillips, assuming he sticks around, you traded for him, also on a pretty good deal, but that's another good player. T'Vondre Sweat, you traded Jermaine Johnson for. And now you signed David Onyemata to $9 or $10 million or whatever he got. It's a lot of money invested to their defensive line, to their front 7. And I given what we saw last year and given the just embarrassment that was the Jets defensive line.
That's why they didn't get any picks because the quarterbacks were never under pressure.
Yes. And again, it's pass rush and it's really like more so to me, it's stopping the run. Like they project as a really good run defense on paper, which honestly last year they were okay. Like they weren't a incredible run defense. By the way, the Jets just re-signed Andrew Beck.
Oh, wow. Huh.
Andrew Beck's back. That's fun. I predicted that this morning. I figured he was somebody that they'd probably want to bring back. And Kyle Allen is signing with the Buffalo Bills.
Okay, yeah, because him and Josh are buddies.
Yeah, they're buddies. But yeah, they improved their depth, which is really nice.
Let's get to a couple comments before we go into more D-line talk. Cisco, GM playing chestnut checkers, robbing these teams blind. Love it. Like Darren Muji. Yep. We have our doubts about the Glenn Muji pairing. I mean, Muji is looking more impressive Even though I think Onyemata was 100% Aaron Glenn saying, I want David. We'll get to him a little bit later.
Yes.
We got Ding Ring. Are the Brian Thomas Jr. rumors real? I think they're real. I don't think anything's
I think they're
imminent.
real.
I wouldn't say it's more likely than not they get him. I still think it's more likely than not they do not trade for him. But if they do trade him, I think the Jets are definitely going to be one of the final 2 or 3 teams in the running for him. And that would be an amazing trade if they pull that off. I wouldn't go assuming it and then get your hopes up and get disappointed.
Yeah, based on all the reporting that's been out there, it sounds real. Like it seems like it's legit. I think it was Jonathan Jones of CBS Sports reported yesterday or 2 days ago that the Jaguars were not considering trading him. Well, there's been conflicting information about that because as Connor Hughes reported today that the Jaguars are open to it. I don't really know exactly what went down last year, but clearly, like obviously on field he was worse than he was as a rookie, which he was fantastic as a rookie. I think it's just character stuff. I think they didn't love whether it was his work ethic or whatever. But man, if you're the Jets, you got an opportunity to land Brian Thomas for 44 for, he's going to still have 2.5 years, or I'm sorry, 2 years left, possibly 3 years, because you could pick up his 5th year option. A very cheap team control. Man, I'd be a home run if they were able to get Brian Thomas at 44. Because again, we talked about in free agency. They were never going big fish hunting. Big fish. What's the phrase? Big fish hunting.
Big game hunting.
Big game hunting. They were never going after the big fish. I think is the way I should phrase that. They were never going after the top free agents. They were never signing an Alec Pierce or a Tyler Linderbaum. So their big additions seem like they might come via the trade market. And that's how you're going to find better value.
And that's how Muji's got most of his good players. I mean, probably half the Jets' defensive starters next year are going to be acquired via trade.
Which is nuts for a GM who's been here for a little over a year. That's crazy.
Sweat, that is Phillips, Briggs. So that's your whole defensive line starting.
Very possible.
Brownlee. Fitzpatrick. 5.
That's already 5. That's about half your defense right there that were acquired.
You know my crazy idea with Osai? What if you make him add weight, and then you basically just do an alternating thing where on run defense, Phillips plays one of the ends, and then on passing downs, he comes in. You think he could, if he gets up to, if he's 263 is what he's listed at. If he gets up to 270, can he be a 3-4 end?
I feel like they signed him more to be that edge presence. Honestly, I think that, which I will say this about the Onyemata signing. I was a little surprised that they signed him because I figured they needed more of an interior rusher as opposed to another run stuffer, which Onyemata can rush the passer, but he's definitely more of an interior rusher. He's not
bad at it. He's better than Phillips at rushing the passer.
Yeah, he's not a zero, but he's certainly more of a run stuffer archetype. I guess Osai would kind of fill that role if you did that with him. I just think he's probably better off playing as that 3-4 outside linebacker. Don't ask him to do something that he hasn't been able to do before. I don't think you should sign a guy and ask him to put on 20 pounds of weight immediately to play.
About 20. I mean,
well, I 6'4", 270. Do I want him playing 3-4 end? It's a little small. It's a little small for him. And I don't think he's the strong, he's not weak, right? But he's not
a puny man who's weak.
Yeah, he's not this tiny little dude. But no, I think they're going to keep Mez that outside linebacker. Honestly, Enikbari feels more to me like the if we want to talk about him right now, he feels more to me like the Jermaine Johnson replacement, kind of, right? Obviously not the same one-to-one comparison, but a guy who's definitely better against the run than he is pass. He's kind of, from what I've seen about him, from what I've researched about him, and I was looking up stuff about him before the Jets even signed him, because it was somebody that I mentioned this morning as somebody the Jets could be looking at. He seems like a stiff as a pass rusher. Doesn't seem like somebody that's going to be, ever going to be a 6, 7, 8, sack a year pass rush guy, but very stout against the run. I had some numbers about his run defense.
It's definitely good. And
last year ranked 4th among qualified edge in tackles per run defense snap, 87th percentile over the last 3 seasons. So one of the better run defending edges in the league. And I feel like that was the priority with that.
And he's definitely, he's not a zero as a pass rusher. He's certainly not going to be if he played full starter snaps, he's probably maybe getting, I don't know, 6 sacks a year or something like that with decent run defense.
He's been very consistent with his pressures.
He was a 5th round pick too, right? So
he has had, in all 4 of his seasons in the NFL, he has had either 25, 26, or 27 pressures.
That's one a game. That's what you're getting out of him.
Extremely consistent from Kingsley Enikbari. I mean, that'd be a little over 1.5 per game, pretty much. And Amazingly, also, I'm looking at this now. All 4 years of his career, he's had 17 hurries. You know exactly what you're getting.
Remember Chris Davis, the old baseball player who had 247 every year for 4 straight years?
Yes. You know exactly what you're getting with him as a pass rusher, but I think you're getting a good run stopper. PFF doesn't love him as much as a run defender, but he's a very productive run defender. Has 44 run stops over the last 2 years as a part-time edge rusher.
10 mil a year in this market. Pretty good.
Yeah, like that's clearly what they're prioritizing with him. So maybe you play him on earlier downs and you don't have to worry about Will McDonald playing in that, the base run stopping defense. And then you bring Will McDonald in on third down and let him go nuts. Like, I feel like that might be more of the plan.
I think Will McDonald is not going to be penciled in as this like locked in playing 75% of snaps. Honestly, if they get Reese, he might be. If they get Reese.
Reese should be, if Reese is the guy we think he is, he should be playing 70%.
I think with McDonald, Osai, and Enagbare, they may just do this weird 3-headed monster thing where, depending on the situation, how likely the team is to throw the ball, they'll just rotate him in. Most likely being Will McDonald, go pin your ears back, go nuts. Least likely, Enagbare, try to stuff the run, and then Osai's kind of the middle ground here. And again, as we mentioned beforehand, this role would have been filled by guys like Braden McGregor on past teams, or
that's who it was,
or Tyler Barron. So immediately, instead of having that, you have Kingsley Enagbare.
I forgot Tyler Barron existed. I'm not gonna lie. You just saying Tyler Barron is the first time I've thought of his name in a while, and that's
the second time I've said Tyler Barron on the stream. So it shows you how much credence you're paying to my opinions.
All right, my bad. Did you mention
only like for a second, but
the conglomeration of Jets defenders like Colin Saunders. Okay, I heard all the other names. I think in my mind I blanked out Tyler Barron. I didn't want to remember he existed.
A lot of anti-Aaron Glenn guys are obviously going to do that thing where every good move is Darren Muji, every bad thing is Aaron Glenn, and they don't want to give Glenn credit for the influence in some of these moves. David Onyemata, 100%. I don't even think Darren Muji maybe knows who David Onyemata is. I think Aaron Glenn took the phone away and said, this guy, I want him on my team. Now, he's a guy they knew him in New Orleans. It seems like Aaron Glenn's leaning on his New Orleans connections a lot more than he is his Detroit connection. Which I don't know if it's not weird. It's just, 6 and 1, half a dozen the other, but it's not what I expected.
I wonder how much of that is just market because they paid Demario Davis more than Alex Anzalone.
Yeah.
Who knows? You never know. Maybe Anzalone just didn't want to come to the Jets. I don't know. Maybe he signed with the Bucks, was it?
Bucks.
Or the Bears. It was the Bears. It was the Bucks. All right. So the Bucks, obviously more.
Maybe Demario Davis said, like, look, I have a leadership tax. If you want that, you got to pay me a little more. And they really wanted that veteran leadership, so they got that.
Maybe. But yeah, that is an interesting note that he's kind of signing a lot.
And he's better. So you had to pay more for a better player. So
that is also true. Demario Davis is just better than Alex Anzalone, like 100%.
So Onyemata played for 7 years in New Orleans, 3 in Atlanta, and he's been a pretty regular starter ever since 2019. Never a dominant pass rusher, but in 10 years he has 31 sacks, about 400 tackles. So he's a good run stuffer guy. Occasionally he'll block a pass down at the line of scrimmage. He'll move around the defensive line a little bit. The thing I like about Onyemata, though, is as good as he is as a run stuffer, 8th in Pro Football Focus for defensive tackles, 8th in run defense, 40th in pass rush grade, the 1 sack. Again, he's not John Randall. He's not 1 sack in terms of his quality getting after a guy. He
has 53 run stops over the last 2 years,
crazy.
and just 7 missed tackles. He had a 4.8% missed tackle rate.
I think the Jets are going all in on just strength with Sweat and Onyemata and pound for pound Reese. I think just being strong is going to be a huge point of emphasis with these guys. Maybe this is a hot take. I think David Onyemata right now is probably a better player than Harrison Phillips.
I knew it. Yep. I think I agree. You love Phillips for the leadership. They're both really good run defenders.
Onyemata's a little bigger, a little quicker.
And he offers more as a pass rusher, probably because he's a little bigger and a little quicker. He's able to offer more as an
As Brian Fernbeck says, Onyemata's been my guy for a while. I just wish he had a chance to play alongside Quinnen on the Jets. Would have been fun.
Would have been fun. Well, Mike, the Jets are also paying Onyemata more than
$10 million a year.
So it's possible they also agree with that.
Onyemata, Briggs, Sweat could be your starting defensive line.
Yeah, they very well could be. And Phillips could be penciled in as more of that early down run stopper because like I love Harrison Phillips, and he was a really good player last
I
year for the
think he
Jets,
was the
and they
worst
really
pass
needed
rusher in the
leadership.
league in terms of pressure rate.
He wasn't quite Al Woods, but he was trending there, man.
He's
Like he
above
just
the
does
Woods
not.
line of demarcation.
Yeah, he's not someone you want rushing the passer. So bringing in Onyemata, who, while I do think he's a better run stopper, absolutely can offer something against the pass, and he's not someone that you feel that you have to take off the field on passing downs to put him next to. I mean, honestly, I don't. I think Briggs and Sweat also can be guys you play on passing downs. I know Sweat kind of has this reputation as this, 2-down run stopper, but like his pass rush numbers were above average last year. He didn't do it a ton, but the efficiency
You know what
was
else
there.
this guards against too, though? What was the bit? If you watched our video that we did with Justin Mello of Titan Size talking about this trade, do you remember, other than the attitude, what his concern was on the field for Sweat was never plays enough snaps because of conditioning. Now, let's say maybe Devondre Sweat is just 360 pounds and is never going to play a ton of snaps. Now you can take him off. Onyemata can play nose.
I have a great comp for you, Mike. This could be a basketball comp, but I'm sorry to anybody who's not a basketball fan. If you are a Knicks fan, you might know exactly what I'm going to talk about. What the Knicks have done this season with Mitchell Robinson feels like what the Jets might be trying to do with Devondre Sweat, where the Knicks realized, Mitchell Robinson is a really good player when we play him 30 minutes a game, but there's the injury stuff and he just kind of loses some of that conditioning. Let's reel it back a little bit. Let's play him in 20 minutes, spurt, or play him in like 5-minute spurts, play him 20 minutes a game. And the Knicks this year have seen the absolute best
just
version
go
of
nuts
Mitchell
in this
Robinson.
limited time, full effort.
Yes. And I think the Jets might be doing something similar with Devondre Sweat, where they're like, we don't need to play him 40 snaps a game. We could play him 20 snaps a game. But we know that those 20 snaps, he's going to be 100% in on, as opposed to the 40% or 40 snaps where by the time you're getting to snap 30
he's
to 35,
plays off, he's not rushing.
It's diminishing returns, right? And that was the thing with the Knicks with Mitchell Robinson, and I think it very well could be the thing with the Jets and Devondre Sweat, where you just don't want to play him that many snaps. Now they don't have to.
It's like when a starter converts to being a relief pitcher, and normally their fastball is maybe 93, 94, and then they are a reliever and it gets up to 97, 98 because they can just go put out max effort a little bit more. And Onyemata's only in a 1-year deal, so maybe this is a 1-year thing. They work with Sweat, and then by year 2, because they have Sweat for a couple years, he's more able to play a bigger diet of snaps.
Funnily enough, this was the Robert Saleh mindset of why he played his guys so few snaps. Part of it was also the scheme, and it was just I demanded a lot.
He also did it with Quinn Williams. That was the problem.
It was, but it was a constant motion, just always attacking up front. Like it was very physically draining on the player. So that's partially why I did it. But again, part of it.
Oh no.
Yeah, but part of the idea was, look, we have a lot of depth here. We want to use all these guys, and we don't need to play them for 70% of snaps because, if they're playing that many snaps, it's a law of diminishing returns. They're just not as good when they, certain players can do it. Like not everyone can be TJ Watt or Myles Garrett, who's playing 85, 90% of snaps every single game. Not everyone can be that. Devondre Sweat definitely isn't
playing 90 as a defensive end.
Max Crosby, but and who probably like the Jets are hoping can be that is Arvell Reese. But the rest of the defensive line is all a rotation. And now you have, you have 8 guys, 7 guys. If you include Arvell Reese, let's include the number 2 pick, whether that's Reese or Bailey. You have, let's say Reese.
The 8th worst player on your defensive line is Kingsley Enagbari.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like that's a really good defensive line, dude. Like that, especially against the run. Like they just have bodies on bodies.
And Reese just setting the edge at Ohio State. That was always one of his strengths.
Absolutely. Like and Demario Davis, very good run defender.
Minkah Fitzpatrick, better run defender than in coverage, and they're gonna have him. So
yeah. Minkah Fitzpatrick, very good run defender. Azareye'h Thomas, Brandon Stevens, Jarvis Brownlee, also good run defenders. I have concerns right now about the Jets' ability to stop the pass. I'm interested to see how they plan to use Minkah. I'm interested to see if they add another defensive back. I think they probably will, whether that's a corner or a safety. But man, run defense. And I'm also a little concerned about their ability to get home because Reese has to be that guy for that to work. Like I don't know if Reese is going to be, the 12 sack a year pass rusher that they want him to be.
Bailey might be, but
Bailey might be. But then you hurt run defense there. But
maybe they're saying if everybody else defends the run and then Will McDonald and Bailey, we can hide a little bit.
Maybe. Maybe they could still go David Bailey. Like I'm not going to go as far as to say their moves today make it, seem like they're going to go David Bailey. I think what I would say is their moves today make it easier to stomach David Bailey's weaknesses while hoping to develop them.
Or you just keep going all on the archetypes, and then you'd go with Reese. Brian Sternbeck,
right, which is what I would say.
Probably no need for additions to the defensive tackle room at this point. Mozzie Smith is the last guy on the depth chart. Will be fighting for whichever UDFA they bring in for a roster.
And I would bet that UDFA.
Yeah, Mozzie Smith is not going to be a part of this Jets team.
Who's better, Mike? Mozzie Smith or 2025 Derek Nottie?
Mozzie Smith, but barely.
Yeah.
Mozzie Smith was at least on the team for longer than Nottie.
I'm not saying who was a better Jet.
Who's a better Jet?
I'm just saying I'm not saying who's a better Jet. I'm saying if Mozzie Smith and Derek
Nottie, I don't think Nottie wasn't Nottie not on the Chiefs for. I think they cut him, right?
I don't know.
Maybe I'm remembering.
I know he was.
They didn't cut him
last year. I think. He was just awful. He was just real. Dude, he started 11 games. That's insane.
What the hell, man?
How many snaps did he play? He played 34% of snaps.
118th out of 134 defensive linemen.
Maybe it's not it's not.
Brett Veach, call your ex-FC, man. Brett Veach.
That is
insane. And the Jets got a 6th for that. For nothing.
He was the worst defensive lineman on the Jets training camp roster. That's
Byron Cowart was kicking his butt.
Yeah. And again, we just talked about some of the names that were in there. Peyton Page was there. Michael Clemens, Eric Watts, Braden McGregor. These guys were all in the training camp roster. None of them were as bad as Derek Nottie, who started 11 games with the Chiefs.
Let's talk about some Jets that will not be back, because there are 3 guys from last year of significance that will not be back. I don't have a ton to add on Nick Folk. I mean, great kicker, but Falcons gave him a 2-year deal. Jets probably didn't. There goes Nick Folk. It sucks, but you're going to have to add another one. I don't know who that is, but
musical chair of kickers once again, my friends. We're back.
The 2 big ones, John Simpson signed very early, went back to the Baltimore Ravens, 3 years, $30 million, which is more than I would have paid for John Simpson. But
yeah, I'm happy the Jets.
They knew probably that Linderbaum wasn't coming back. Daniel Falele is just not an NFL player. I think they needed competency there. And now after trading Crosby, if you want to get like Vega Ioane early in the draft, they couldn't do that. So I think this was their replacement for that.
I think it's a fair deal, by the way, for Simpson. But even though I wouldn't want the Jets to do it, given the market right now, what guards are getting,
Linderbaum got $30 million a year.
Yeah, $10 million for him is fair. Like, he was a very good player in 2024. Took a step back.
Cared about the right stuff, brought good good energy, the stuff you need. I mean, we said a lot of times, even though he's not this great player, the Jets needed more guys like John Simpson on their team. But I wish him well.
And he has familiarity there. Like the coaching staff, well, new staff obviously, but the organization knows him very, very well. Like, it makes sense.
I'll let Justin go in on this because this has been his little pet project. The offensive line now, it was once their strongest area, and the tackles are still theoretically locked in with Fashanu and Membu. And Tippmann is obviously still very good. But now Josh Myers, completely average to slightly below average NFL center.
I would say
I don't know about that might be harsh.
I would say one of the weakest starting.
All right, yeah, I was gonna say maybe like in the high 20s or something like that. And then am I gonna split hairs over who's the 24th best center in the league? Not really. And then left guard, completely up in the air right now. So they did, in a sense, subtract from an area of strength. Now, the defensive line was probably their biggest area of weakness, and they put the requisite amount of capital and resources into fixing it. But now the offensive line is something where probably one of their first 4 picks is going to have to be used on a guard, because Isaac Seumalo just signed with the Cardinals. And the market out there, especially for left guards that you don't have to convert, it's looking thinner by the minute here.
Zion Johnson got a
$50 million
deal. $16 million a year for Zion Johnson, who is...
There are reports saying he could get 20.
He's been fine. That was somebody I know the Jets were looking at least based on reports. They were never going to...
I wouldn't have paid that. For Zion Johnson, no way.
Yeah. Bigham's in chat asking, what's Vera Tucker's status? He's still a free agent right now. All reporting is that the Giants love him and that he's high on the Giants list. I think the Raiders were also a team that were connected to
everybody. They just...
I wonder if they have any money left.
3 guys in a span of like 15 seconds at one point? Like
2 of them linebackers. Like they signed both their starting linebackers within 10 seconds.
They're doing the Eagles thing of rebuilding the Georgia defense. And the Jets, I guess, are rebuilding the Alabama defense. So
you could do worse than that.
Wait for the Domani Jackson day 3 pick. So
Vera Tucker's still out there. all indications are that he will not be back with the Jets in 2026. It was Brian Costello said that it's not necessarily that the Jets don't want to bring him back, that it's more Vera kind of just wants a change of
The
scenery.
Jets can't make him go back if he doesn't want to. So
no, he kind of chalked it up a little bit to, I don't want to say superstition is the right word to use, but it's like, man, I've had a lot of bad luck there with these injuries. And I think he just feels like he needs a change of scenery. Now that could change. Maybe the market isn't as big as we think it is, right? Because there's a lot of reporting also that his market is pretty sizable despite the injuries. But I maybe it's the copium part of me is still hoping, because it's 8 p.m. now and a deal has not been announced at this point. I'm hoping there's still, I'm hoping against the odds that they bring him back, but I don't think it's going to happen. So I think right now the Jets are looking at a scenario where they're just not going to add a starting caliber guard in free agency. And that's based on, Connor Hughes reported this as well, said that the Jets are not looking really to sign a starter. They're looking to sign some team's backup that they believe can be a starter for them. Which I'm about to be critical here, and I want to preface this by saying I love what they've done in free agency.
They get what, an A- or something like that, great? Or
yeah, we pretty much. We talked about this earlier. I was saying that, in free agency, you want to take upside projection swings, and you want to take players that have high floors. And the Jets have done both of those things. And they've revamped their defense to a point where right now I look at this defense, a defense that was barren 24 hours ago.
Tyler Barron,
and I say,
24 hours ago.
Tyler Barron. Yeah. We're mentioning a lot in the stream now. Now I look at it and I'm like, damn, they might have a pretty good defense. Like, not just, last year, people going into the year being like, the defense could be okay. Like, it was, on paper, it was not great. I don't think they have a ton of major holes. I think they can use a game changer at edge rusher, which they have the number 2 overall pick. They very well could add that. I think their secondary is still a little weak, especially at corner. I don't love their cornerback room, and I think I'm a little worried about their pass defense. But I don't think it's a bad defense by any means on paper. So I think they've done some really good stuff there. I am a little confused and concerned about their offensive line plans. And again, it's Monday. Right. It's Monday, the first week of free agency. I'm not going to make any definitive statements because I don't know what it's going to look like. Maybe they swing a trade for a really good player. I don't know who else would be out there right now.
I don't know who's trading guards right now. That's a tough,
Yeah, but you never know. Or maybe they sign, you mentioned this on Slack to me, Mike. Maybe they sign Braden Smith and move him to guard, right? Maybe they sign Elgin Jenkins. And
that might be my preferred move right now.
Yeah, and they're like, we're going to move him back to guard because he struggled a bit at center last year. We think he can be healthier and play well at left guard. Maybe they do that. I don't know. I'm not going to say they don't do that. But if the plan is that they're going to go into the draft with Josh Myers at center and take your pick of whatever backup they project as a starter at left guard. I don't have names in front of me, but take your pick. If that's their plan and they go into the draft saying, you know what, we're just gonna draft Vega Ioane or Emmanuel Pregnon,
Jennings Dunker, Chase Besantis,
Jennings Dunker, somebody with a top 50 pick. I don't like that strategy. I think it can work. I just think it's a very dangerous game to play, to back yourself into a corner to having to take a certain position with a top 50 pick. I think that's a mistake, unless you have an obvious path to doing so. Like the Raiders don't need to add a quarterback because they know they can get Mendoza at 1. The Jets, in theory, know they can get David Bailey or Arvell Reese at 2. They don't need to worry. Like, obviously, they still added edge rushers, but they can kind of pencil that in. You don't know you can get Vega Ioane at 16. He probably can, but you don't know that, right? And if you miss on him, well, now you don't know you can get Jennings Dunker. You don't know you can get Emmanuel Pregnon. I don't think it's ever good for a team to go into a draft knowing they need to address a position with a high pick. I think you want to have increased flexibility. You want to have as much draft flexibility as possible so that you can, maybe the Jets love a player that falls to 16. Maybe like Ruben Bain falls to 16, right?
Oh my God. Imagine
that
defensive Kingsley and Enagbare is your 10th best defensive lineman.
Right. I'm just saying crazier things. Or Caleb Downs. Maybe there's concerns about the knee, right? He falls to 16. Do you want to be in a position where you're like, well, we don't have a starting left guard. We kind of have to take Vega Ioane because he's here. I don't think you do. I think you want to sign somebody who you feel at least comfortable starting at left guard. Because that's how right now how I feel about Josh Myers is I don't think he's a good starter, but I'm okay with him as the starter. If he's your weakest link, it's okay. I think it's passable that he could start at center. I want a Josh Myers or a little better than Josh Myers at left guard. I want somebody that I can look at and say, you know what? They can look to draft somebody here to develop or maybe even upgrade. But I like this. I'm okay with this guy as a starter. Right now, I don't think that's their plan. And if that's not their plan, I have a concern. I'm concerned.
Well, here's my list of rebuttals to that dissertation. Number one, with AVT specifically, I mentioned this before, maybe more so than other Jets fans, but like I can't get over some of the injury stuff because, like, if you look at signings that fail, Aaron Rodgers, the Achilles, like, that was a freak incident nobody could prepare for. AVT, if he fails, it won't be because of his play, because his play is very good. It'll be because of something incredibly obvious, like major injuries that the Jets fans have saw literally year after year after year, 3 out of 4 years. So you can't then go, well, oh my God, how could now we're on our backup lineman? We couldn't have done that. We couldn't have prepared for that. Yeah, you could have. If they sign AVT, I think you still go IOL at 44 or 33. I think you still get one of them.
I think you can. I don't think you have to.
I think you'd have to because I trust AVT's body that little. Number 2, the Jets coaching staff does not deserve a ton of trust, but it seems like Steve Hyden on the offensive line is their best position coach. They were kind of right about Myers and Tittman and that whole thing that we were questioning. That turned out to be pretty good. So I'm willing to defer.
I do wonder what would have happened if AVT didn't get hurt. Like I'm assuming
yeah,
but center, but who knows?
But still, I mean, they've proven themselves to be competent in that area, so I'm willing to give them a little bit of a benefit of the doubt with this. Number 3, I do think that this draft class is better than I thought it was for interior linemen. Like, I went in thinking, like, oh, God, if it's not Vega Ioana, you're screwed. But then Pragnano was horrible against Indiana, but other than that, he was pretty good. Chase Basantis is a tackle convert, but I really liked what I saw out of him. I don't want to sound like Epic Bacon mullet fan guy because, oh, Jennings Dunker in the mullet. Like, I wish he'd shave that shit because I don't want to sound like a weirdo.
No, listen, you got Joe Tittman already. Imagine the mullet bros.
So like
the mullet bros.
It's so like 2010 Epic Bacon humor.
No, but you need at least one mullet bro on the offensive line.
I say all that to say I still like him as a prospect. So you could get a guy like him there. Even Brian Parker, if you want to go a little bit later. I know a 3rd round pick would have been perfect for that, but Hassan Reddick, you can't have that anymore. So that at least gives me some confidence that they could still get one. And honestly, too, last point, if they take Ioane at 16 with Arvell Reese, like that's still a pretty good pick. That's still he is far and away the best interior lineman in this class. And then rolling into a year of Fashanu, Ioane, Tittman, Myers, and Membu, like that's basically last year, but maybe even better because I think Ioane has a higher ceiling than John Simpson.
Oh, 100%. It's better if you draft Ioane. Like, I think, is it Ioane? I thought it was Vega Ioane.
Let's see.
I've heard other draft analysts say Vega.
Oliva Vega is his real first name.
Yeah, Oliva Vega is Oliva Venga. I believe it's.
Nope, there's no N.
That's how you pronounce it. No, I know, but it's like Tua Tagovailoa.
Pronunciation. I got to find this.
Right. I believe it's
Venga.
Venga.
Ioane.
Oliva Venga.
Ioane.
Like Eeyore?
Sure. Ioane.
It's really Ioane. I've been saying
as somebody whose last name is Luciano with 7 letters and 4 syllables, I sympathize with because he's got 5 letters and 4 syllables. So
hey, I got 5 letters here and no one can say my last name right.
Yeah.
So shout out, by the way, Max Fried, because before Max Fried like existed, everyone would say my name wrong. Now I get it a lot less because people know Max Fried, and you know what? That makes me happy. There's more of us out there. I appreciate him.
Because it's IED, right? Or no, it's IED. So yeah,
it's
I'm saying if it's EID, it'd be Fried, but no one knows that.
EID? No, EID would also be Fried. It's spelled like Fried.
I'm saying that would be more confusing.
I get why people think it's Fried. It literally is Fried. Like in a different context, this would be pronounced Fried.
And moving off of John Simpson, Quincy Williams is gone. We expected this move. We both got our predictions wrong because we assumed it would be we assumed it would be Tennessee with Robert Saleh or Atlanta with Jeff Ulbrich.
No, I said or Cleveland as well.
You did? Well,
I said that on the show last week. I'm fairly confident I said that on the show last week.
Justin is possibly correct because he does. No, technically correct is the best kind of correct.
No, I know.
But,
a twist on it.
He signs with the Cleveland Browns, who their defensive coordinator is Mike Rutenberg, former Jets assistant.
Yep.
So Quincy, this is the most it's just time signing I've ever seen.
Well, Vic asked, why in the hell did we get rid of our linebacker?
Vic,
Mr.
what on earth is that profile picture?
Is it an AI pick?
It's an AI pick of a rabbit with like a Green Lantern ring.
No,
it's not.
It's a jet. It's wearing, it has
The
a
Jets logo and then a Green Lantern ring in his hand.
Okay.
And he's got like Rob Liefeld chest and arms.
It's like a jackrabbit. It's a jet rabbit.
So Quincy Williams is on the Cleveland Browns, and this was a move where I'm not sad to see him go because I think he realized and Aaron Glenn realized in real time he needs to be in Robert Saleh's scheme or something close to it. This is one of the big. Aaron Glenn got some egg on his face for saying like all the old coaching, it's coaching stuff, but I think he thought I could just coach Quincy Williams up in my scheme. Nope. Quincy probably thought I don't need Robert Saleh. I could be the same flying around firecracker in Aaron Glenn's scheme. Nope. So or Steve Wilkes' scheme. Neither. So he goes to Cleveland. I think this is bad news for Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I don't think he's coming back anytime soon.
That was kind of the assumption already, is that I don't know if he
But now Cleveland has a great linebacker duo of Carson Schlesinger and Quincy Williams, which that's going to be fun to watch at Myles Garrett.
That is such a great landing spot for him, dude. Like next to Schlesinger.
I just think he's a football masochist who went through all those Jets years and goes, Cleveland Browns. That's where I want to go next.
Fair.
So he's got to complete the who's the masochist Mount Rushmore, like the bottom four? It's the Jets, the Browns, probably the Cardinals.
It would have been the Lions until recently.
All right, so the Cardinals are 3. Who's
Cardinals
4?
could be in there. Go to
Titans. The Titans. Titans have been in the AFC Championship recently. Like
they have, but they've been mostly bad. The Jets have been the AFC Championship.
Really, that's a recent thing. Titans, Jeff Fisher for a long time.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, I don't know. The Lions would have been Washington
before last year. The Jaguars probably.
Yeah, I mean they had made a couple AFC. They made an AFC Championship game, but they've still never made.
No, they haven't. No, right? They made the AFC Championship game like 2 or 3 times, but
yeah, Blake Bortles
and then Mark Brunell that one year. That was the year they went 14-2, and they lost in the AFC Championship, and all 3 of their losses that year were the Titans.
Jets legend Mark Brunell. But I'm happy for Quincy getting another deal, and I think he's someone who's still got some juice left in the tank. Like I don't think he's cooked as cooked.
I don't think he'll ever be an All-Pro again. But...
No, I think the athleticism is still there. I didn't really notice it being gone on tape. Now, with a player like him who relies so heavily on his athleticism, you worry about paying a linebacker like that.
And his health, because he's a smaller guy, flies into things, gets banged up.
For sure. When he loses that athleticism, it's tough, man. Like it might be scary hours, and I hope for his sake he doesn't lose it anytime soon. But I think he's gonna do very well for himself in Cleveland. But it was absolutely time. The Jets were never going to bring him back. The only issue that I have about this is they should have taken that draft pick when they could have at the trade deadline. There were teams that were calling about him. I'm pretty sure Dallas was calling about him because they wanted to reunite him with Quincy. Which, if he was to go anywhere, by the way, that wasn't a solid scheme, Dallas would have made sense for Quinnen. But that's my only issue is that the Jets aren't getting comp picks this year, most likely because of look at the signings that they're making. They should have absolutely traded Quincy for something at the deadline because. Man, why not?
But again, it's not the end of the world. Like I'm not going to be.
No, not the end of the world. But I have an issue. If I'm going to nitpick here, like I said it at the time, like when the Jets didn't trade Quincy at the deadline, I said this is stupid. This is a mistake. They should trade him. It'd be silly for me not to say that now in March. Now,
want to talk some quarterbacks?
Let's talk quarterback, dude. Because I don't know. Well, really quick before we get to quarterbacks, one quick question. Mr. Mule in chat said, "Where's Jeremiah Love going?" Like. Oh, okay. Very quick. You think Titans? Do you think Titans?
Well, I'm looking. I don't think he gets out of the top 10 necessarily. I think.
I don't think. I certainly.
But if you look, let's go like 10-1. Bengals not taking him. Chiefs.
I think I want to go. Let's go
3-10. Cardinals.
Cardinals probably.
Connor's back. Tyler Algier, Trey Benson. They're not taking him.
Right after Algier and Connor. Now I'm less confident they would draft him. Tennessee at 4, maybe.
Man, I just realized now the viewers can finally see my broken thumb from baseball. This is how my thumb goes up.
Your thumb is all fucked up. What the hell's going on there, bud?
I was catching in baseball, and this kid broke my thumb when I was catching. It gets all swollen, and the coach is like, "We don't have any other catchers out there. Can you go tough it out?" I'm like, "Okay." Next pitch, same exact spot. Immediately hits it again, and then we went to the doctor, and they said it's not broken. And then we went back the next day to a different doctor, and he goes, "Yeah, it's broken."
He looked at a thumb that looked like
oh my god, it was swollen to here, purple.
And they said
apparently they outsourced X-rays to other countries, so they sent that like to India, I think, and then it came back saying it's not broken, and then the guy actually looked at it and he goes, "Oh yeah, it's broken." So That's why it looks like this. But
Wow.
that's
Wow.
some Mike lore.
Sorry.
Tennessee, I think, is the favorite. So 5 is the Giants.
The Giants to me is where I was going to guess. That was going to be my guess.
They still have Tracy. They still have Scattaboo. They brought Singletary back.
I'm not saying they should draft him. Based on all reporting, the Giants have been extremely aggressive for a running back this year. I think the reason that the Chiefs signed Kenneth Walker and they were willing to go as high as they did for Kenneth Walker is because they know he's not making it to make it 9, right? I think they kind of knew Jeremiah Love.
I think it's Love or Styles at 5.
Maybe. Yeah, well,
so 6 is the Browns. They're not taking a running back.
I think he's gone. I think he's gone by 5. I don't think Jeremiah Love if I'm guessing now, I don't think Jeremiah Love makes it out of top.
But again, Browns, Cleveland, nope. 7 is Commanders, maybe, but probably not.
New Orleans now
no because ETN. Chiefs no because Walker. Yep. So
it's 4 or 5. I think is where I would project Jeremiah Love to go. If he doesn't go at those spots, then it's like, okay, where does he go? Now I'm actually curious if he doesn't go at 5, because you would have said Kansas City, you would have said New Orleans. Well, both of those are kind of off the board now. I think the Giants, they've just been, again, the reporting has said that that Harbaugh is extremely eager and motivated to make a running back splash this offseason. They clearly wanted Kenneth Walker a lot. The price tag just got too high. I think they want him at 5. And I think Tennessee should go defense at 4. David Bailey just makes too much sense if he's there.
Yeah.
But
they also got obvious. JFM and
yeah, but they can still add another. It's Robert Saleh. You think he ever has enough defensive line?
He took like 4 last year for the Niners, and
right. I think he would still go him, or Sonny Styles could go there. Arizona at 3 is an interesting one. We don't get.
I think they go either David Bailey or Mauigoa.
It could go Styles.
I don't know about 3 for an inside linebacker, but
if there ever was a year, this would be the year.
But Jets quarterback,
no, the only Jets QBs, quarterback. Aaron asks, "Wonder what's going to happen with QB?" Well,
let's see, because the only quarterback dominoes that really fell of note, where I know Gardner Minshew went to the Cardinals, but I mean,
Kyle Allen just re-signed.
Mitch Trubisky went to the Titans too, but
the Patriots re-signed Tommy DeVito before free agency, Mike.
But Malik Willis went to the Dolphins, 3 years, $67 million, which I actually like that contract a lot for both parties. I thought $90 million was ridiculous for him. I think that's a pretty good in the middle spot.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing for the quarterback market that he didn't get.
Oh my God,
a year. Like that is
Daniel
a good
Jones
thing
wants
for
$50
future
million. The quarterback market's out of control.
We need to. There's 2 markets we need to kind of reel in a little bit. Like all for the players getting paid. Obviously, let's reel in wide receiver and let's reel in quarterback. Alec Pierce getting $29 million.
Never had 50 catches in a season. $29 million.
Yeah, and if we want to go on the flip side of it, nickel corners should get paid a lot more. Like the slot cornerback should get paid more. I would have said probably centers before this year, and then Tyler Linderbaum completely, ruin that take. But yeah, slot corners should get paid more. That'll always be my take.
It seems like the room everybody is projecting is Geno Smith is the starter, Carson Wentz is the backup.
That is the projection.
Is it an ideal room? Obviously not. Is it 5 times better than last year's quarterback room? Yes.
I will wait to say 5 times.
2 times better, 3 times better.
It should be. I don't like. It's possible Mike Geno's cooked. Like I don't want to discount that possibility. That despite the fact that I want Geno, like I'm happy with Geno.
Even
Smith,
if Geno's cooked, I might take Cook Geno over Justin Fields.
Do you want 3 interceptions a game, or do you want 10 passing yards?
I would want 3 interceptions a game because it's probably 200 passing yards mixed into that.
I think I agree, but you're probably not winning many games either way.
As opposed, we saw a guy have negative 10 passing yards in a game, Justin. So
yeah,
and then Brady Cook. Somehow that wasn't the worst of it because we got Brady Cook later.
We're here to tell the story, Mike.
You Justin, were saying, "Hey, Brady Cook, I don't know, he could stick around a little bit."
After when? Okay, when did I say?
It was like after the first game. Yeah.
Timestamp
like the first or the second game. You're like,
I probably was like,
he's not good. He can stick around. Then I think it was the Saints game when you're like, nah.
Yeah, I think after the first game, my take was maybe he's someone they could bring back to compete for QB3 next year. I'm pretty sure that was my take, Mike. That's QB2, not a crazy take to make after one game.
And either way, we did our QB list. We have very few A-tier options. Geno Smith was one of those A-tier options.
Yep. All 3 A-tier options, by the way, still.
Ty Simpson can be had at 16.
Yep. Jacoby Brissett, TBD.
But I'm sure if the Jets came at Arizona with an offer that they couldn't refuse in a way, that I think they'll back down. I know that there was some Phoenix version of Sal Licata who said they're going in with Brissett locked in, but I mean, that's nothing. I'll wait until I hear from Ian Rappaport, or no disrespect to that guy, he probably does a good job, but I'll wait to hear from Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter before confirming that. Again, I'm not doing like backflips for Geno Smith. I know he was the best option. Oh, A tier and all that. This is on a curve. This is even after he looked terrible last year, but I think in terms of getting to 500, which would be, oh my God, after last year, right? 500. You look at a guy who we can debate how cooked he is. Inarguable, indisputable, that offensive line was horrible and making him worse. Indisputable fact. 100%. And even with this whole left guard question mark, the Jets can offer him a better one. Now you go to Wentz. And I know Carson Wentz is this boogeyman that everybody hates. Obviously, I don't think Carson Wentz is going to be – if he signs to be the week 1 starter with no competition, then yeah, all this free agent stuff is going to be for nothing because Carson Wentz is the starter. But in terms of being an NFL backup, high volatility and all, like he's an NFL backup. I know he has a name that makes him memey, and he's not the MVP candidate he once was in Philadelphia, which is a crazy statement to say, but he was under Frank Reich.
Absolutely.
You could do – who's a better quarterback right now, Carson Wentz or Tyrod Taylor? I might say Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz in Minnesota last year, I know he had 10 times the support, but up until the last game where his arm was literally falling off like a zombie, like they operated an offense with him and they won some games with him. That's what you need out of the backup quarterback.
The better question is who plays more games, Carson Wentz or Tyrod Taylor? If they were like entering the year as a starter for a team, who lasts longer?
I bet Carson Wentz because he's bigger.
Carson Wentz probably because I think Carson Wentz would play with half a shoulder. Like he would
probably
still
play without a shoulder.
Yes, he did. You're right. He would probably still play.
Literally, if it was falling off and he's holding it in place, I'm like, this is unfair. Right. How bad do they hate McCarthy?
And that's not saying Tyrod Taylor should be doing that because it's probably better off for his long-term health that he's not doing that. That's not me being like, oh, he's not tough enough. Like, no. Like
he is. Nobody's. I don't think questioning his toughness, man. This guy's got some stones on him.
Yeah, I'm fine with Wentz as QB2.
He can do so much worse.
It's inoffensive to me. He has
better than Zach Wilson. Remember when he was QB2?
Yeah, he was QB2 for Denver for Miami last year.
And then he was.
He was. They signed him to be QB2, and then he sucked.
And then he lost the QB2 job to you.
They're like, hey, our 7th round pick, who we didn't even trust to do anything in the preseason, he's actually now QB2. But no, I'm fine with Wentz as QB2. He's got the history with Frank Reich, obviously, which seems that relationship is better than we thought because obviously things ended very poorly in Indianapolis. There was kind of rumors of there being a rift between the two. Clearly, that's been settled because
Frank Reich bet if you gave Frank Reich the truth serum, he'll tell you Jim Irsay made him trade Carson Wentz.
Yeah, it very well might be the case. That very well might be the case. But yeah, I'm fine with Wentz as QB2. As for Geno as QB1, I think Geno Smith of the available options, and we'll say the available non-Kyler Murray options, because I do think Kyler Murray is still the best quarterback on that.
I think he's going to the Vikings, though.
Right. Everybody believes that he's going to the Minnesota Vikings. If that doesn't happen, it would be a stunner around the NFL, and it would.
Is that like the smallest quarterback room ever? 9 and Kyler Murray.
JJ. Yeah, they got to draft Diego Pavia. That's what they got to do. They got to draft Diego Pavia.
Benigno had his druthers. Pavia being
I know.
MTO says.
MTO asked, I wonder if Joe Benigno still wants Diego Pavia in round.
Did you see at the combine where he's like, yeah, I've been talking to Johnny Manziel to get some advice. I'm like, can you possibly have a worse pre-draft process?
Because Joe Benigno, no disrespect intended here, but Joe Benigno will be the first one to say the Jets should draft Diego Pavia at 2, but Kyler Murray is too short to play quarterback for the Jets.
You also, did you hear who he wanted to be the DC?
Let me guess. I want to guess.
You'll never guess it.
I'll never guess.
Well, he gave 2 options. One was Wink, but you know what? The other, Wink's a bad option, but at least a realistic option. The other one,
I don't know, bro. Condoleezza Rice, Ronald Reagan. He wanted Ronald Reagan to be the DC.
Bart Scott.
I actually did hear that. Yeah, Bart Scott. Ronald Reagan probably has just as good of a chance.
Condoleezza Rice.
Remember the former Browns coach candidate. You know, I was thinking, who else?
How do you get some? I've never seen a guy in his position get something that wrong.
What? Oh,
like that didn't pass the smell test with you, Schefter?
Was that not like real at all? Or
no,
I thought
they said we are looking for a head coach who has great leadership abilities, like Condoleezza Rice. And then Adam Schefter
and then it was reported that the Browns are eyeing Condoleezza Rice for their head coach vacancy.
Yeah, Yeah, that'll be the Jets' new DC. It'll be Kamala Harris will be their new DC. Like, that's basically what they said.
No, you're not wrong.
Yeah, in so many words.
That'd be so funny. But I think Geno Smith, probably of the available options that are not Kyler Murray, gives you the best chance to replicate a 2017 Josh McCown season. And I think that's like the blueprint. Which, look, I know this is poverty. You don't have to fucking tell me how
you're coping. Like we get it.
No, but like you don't have to tell. Like other fan bases will hear this and be like, "This is so sad." Yeah, it is sad. It is sad that it was 70 degrees outside and I was watching Carson Wentz film earlier at my desk.
You what I say? Find me a better one.
Right.
Find me a better one.
This is sad, a sad statement. But I think the Jets should be trying to model their quarterback search after the 2015 or the 2017 Josh McCown blueprint. Like that should be the blueprint. And I know that's sad. I know that's tragic to hear.
We're begging for those days.
I'm begging for Josh McCown, 2017 Josh McCown. Give me that. If the Jets have a 2017 Josh McCown, they can win 7 games next year. And I know, again, that sentence is really sad to hear out loud, but that's what we're shooting for, man. Like, look at the quarterback options. Do you want Mitch Trubisky, QB1? Do you want Andy Dalton, QB1?
Anthony Richardson?
Like, Anthony Richardson? Some might want that, Mike. Don't threaten some people with a good time. Some might want that. But this is what we're talking about. I think
some people who have humiliation fetishes and enjoy the Jets losing. I think you know which one I'm talking about.
Yes, but I think Geno Smith probably gives you the best chance. Now, is he cooked? Quite possibly, yes. He was awful last year with the Raiders. He was very bad.
He was not good.
Like one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. Bad, but again, situation was terrible. Completely inept coaching staff. Horrible offensive line, traded away Jacoby Myers, receivers outside of Brock Bowers were terrible. They had no running game.
Worse than the Jets, as bad as the Jets without Garrett Wilson.
Right. They had no running game despite drafting Ashton Genty. Like it was
because the line was so bad.
Because the line sucked. It was awful all around. So how much of his struggles last year? Because he was a good quarterback in Seattle. But
let's not do revisionist history and say he wasn't good in Seattle.
2024 wasn't his best season, but he was still, I think he was better than the numbers would indicate. And look,
yes,
as MTO said, Mina Kimes said not so long ago, Geno was a top 10 quarterback and said Seahawks regret letting him go for Darnold. I didn't think that was a crazy take at the time.
By the way, too, Mina Kimes got this wrong. Any single personality in sports is going to get a shitload of takes. It's like gambling. Half your takes are going to be wrong.
Mina Kimes is fantastic, and if you disagree, you're wrong. Sorry.
If you get one take wrong, you're never allowed to talk sports again?
Right.
There would be no sports media.
Maybe I'm biased because I also thought Geno was very good in Seattle.
I did too, yeah.
Was underrated. I still think there might be something there with him, right? I don't know. Maybe he's cooked. He's not
MTO. Raiders O-line was ran by Pete Carroll's son. I'll pump myself up. I did in a Slack chat, I called his sons Goofus and Doofus, and I think that may have been a very apt description of what happened last year.
It's accurate. Look, Geno's gonna be 36 years old in October. I don't know what he's got left. Like clearly, he was never a quarterback, and it's definitely decreased as the years have gone on.
He ran faster than he was mobile wise. Like 40-yard dash time was better than he is as a runner.
Yes, he's never been a running quarterback. Like that's never been his preferred play style. But I think there might still be something there. And I think it's at least worth, like, given what the options are for the Jets and the fact that you can get him for a vet min, like you're going to get him for nothing, right? I think it makes the most sense. And now that Malik Willis is signed in Miami, and it seems like Arizona, their quarterback room is kind of set. At least they think it is.
They may get Garoppolo, but
the options to me, it feels like Geno to the Jets is almost inevitable at this point. Like you never want to write it in stone because anything can happen. The NFL is weird, but I don't see another team that would offer him a starting opportunity, right? Unless it's Minnesota. But then if it's Minnesota, then where's Kyler going, right? Then you maybe can get Kyler. So it feels almost inevitable to me at this point that Geno's back with the Jets. As long as he's open to it, maybe he just is completely outright against playing for the Jets. That hasn't been reported. Wouldn't blame him. That hasn't been reported, but wouldn't blame him. But if he's open to the idea, and I think he should be, because if he wants another chance to start, it's probably going to be with the Jets.
Yeah.
It makes too much sense.
The Steelers are the only other team that has like an open starting quarterback spot.
And they're very confident Rodgers is coming back. They seem very confident in that. So I don't think Geno would go there with the Rodgers thing hanging over.
No.
So the Jets call it a marriage of desperation. Call it whatever you want. It makes the most sense to me. And I'm also happy about it. Like, again, happy, relatively speaking, happy grading on a curve. Not happy like, oh my God, the Jets are
happier than Kirk Cousins, happier than Andy Dalton, happier than some of these other options.
Yes. So I would right now expect the week 1 starting quarterback for the Jets to be Geno Smith. I think Carson Wentz, it sounds like they like him a lot as the backup option. The other backup options, Mitch Trubisky signed with the Titans. Andy Dalton could be now had because
got to give a pick to get him though.
Carolina signed? They signed
Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett. Yep, they signed Kenny Pickett. So Dalton is likely expendable, and I imagine they could get him for like a 6th or a 7th. Like, they can get him for
a what?
Is that even a thing anymore though? Like I haven't even seen people doing that anymore.
I think the kids are. I only know that because I got sent some highlights of little brother Dominic, who by the way was playing a CYO game. He's like the 6th man backup point guard. He did a sham god dribble in the middle of the game and hit a floater.
Dominic did?
Yeah.
Shout out Dominic.
He broke a double team, did a sham god.
Got a little
running floater bank.
Little Donovan Mitchell running around there.
There's another one I got sent of him hitting a jump shot. I looked at the scoreboard and it was 32-2. I'm like, what is going on in this game?
His team was winning?
He was on the 32. I'm like, man,
I was about to make a Chris Paul, but hits a huge
one of the kids on his team wore number 67. And I'm like, I know how kids' jerseys, they go, 1 to, when I was in Little League, like it was 1 to 11 and the biggest kid would always be the biggest number. Like you have to request that number.
Oh, the Titans signed somebody that was not a former Jet or a Giant. They signed Josh Williams.
I'm surprised he didn't go to the Rams. They're signing all the Chiefs DBs.
He went to Fayetteville State, right? Josh Williams?
Possibly.
I believe
I always get him and Jalen Watson mixed up because
both Chiefs
JW.
Guys. Yeah. I think I interviewed Joshua Williams. I'm pretty sure he went to Fayetteville State, which is a crazy guy.
You want to bet on it?
I believe I do actually.
Yes. What's their team name?
Oh, that one I don't know. They're an HBCU, I think. Or
their team name is an NFL team name.
Lions. I don't know.
Broncos.
Oh, okay. They're an HBCU, I think, right?
They're D2. Yeah, it's an HBCU.
Yeah. I asked it.
Okay. It said they have like the list students, undergraduates. It's got 6,700 students.
Nice, Mike. Good work.
It said academic staff 328, and I misread that. I go, there's only 300 people at this school,
and one of them made the NFL. It's crazy.
Yeah. What a hit rate. Brian Sternbeck says Levis is expendable in Tennessee. O'Connell could be expendable in Vegas.
Yeah.
Aiden O'Connell. And Spencer Rattler could be available from New Orleans if you're looking for a young lottery ticket.
Rattler would be the most interesting of those 3 to me.
He's also the least likely of the 3 to shake free.
I don't see why they would trade him. Like I know, you got Tyler Shuck. You have a guy in Spencer Rattler who I thought showed something last year, and he's a very cheap, inexpensive backup who is, I think, like I would trust him as a spot starter. I feel very comfortable.
I think all the concerns about him being kind of an asshole were a little overblown too.
Yeah, I guess.
That's why he fell that far anyway.
We haven't heard any of that in the NFL, so I would assume.
Heard a lot of it out of Kyler Murray, but
although it's a lot. Rattler's the guy where it was like, isn't there like the video of him when he was like 10 years old being like a total dickhead?
No, it was in high school. He was the #1 quarterback recruit.
Oh yeah.
Every mistake, the guy's like, he's like, you suck. And they're like, shut
up.
That's I'm better than you. Shut up. Like,
yes.
Who wasn't a dickhead asshole kid in high school? If you met 16-year-old you would be like, wow, this kid stinks. Like,
fair,
right? Like,
fair. But I wasn't doing that probably.
I know, but you'd be like, man, you're a shitty kid, aren't you?
I also wasn't the star quarterback for my football team.
Yeah, I probably would have been that too if I was, the best quarterback in the country.
But yeah, I would love Rattler. I just don't think New Orleans moves him. O'Connell, yeah. Who's
he's the backup. I don't think they signed any veterans.
I don't know if they don't have a QB2 now because obviously they're gonna draft Mendoza. So
is there anybody from like the Kubiak knows who they could bring over? I don't think so.
I mean,
Drew Lock and Milrow.
I was gonna say trade for Milrow. Like I don't.
That wouldn't be a horrible idea.
Oh, but why would they trade for Milrow when they have O'Connell?
Trade for Lock, and then
I guess Milrow as a backup to Mendoza. Those feels really weird.
Yeah,
that is a weird.
That was like when Lamar Jackson and Joe Flacco were together.
Yeah,
or Flacco and Anthony Richardson. It's like, can you get two more different?
Or literally last year when the Ravens signed
Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush, yeah. I was about to say Easton Stick. I mixed them up. Yeah. Cooper Rush.
I've grown more
Levis
on
is the guy here, by the way, that I would want. Will Levis is the guy that I'd want.
Yeah, I've grown more on him. If I were to do we did our tier list. Like I think he was in B. He might be.
Well,
I don't know about A, but of the trade for a guy of guys you'd have to trade for.
Yep.
I think it's Brissett and him are the only ones I'd want to give up assets for.
How we did that tier list was if this guy is the week 1 starter for the Jets. I don't want Will Levis to be the week 1 starter for the Jets. Although If he is, I assume that would mean either somebody got hurt or he won a camp battle, which is great. If he wins a camp battle, awesome. I would love.
I just need some sort of security knowing that the arm is okay. Because the appeal is the big arm, and if the arm, because he had a shoulder injury, if that impacted that, then he's off the board.
It feels like the Jets quarterback room, again, things could change, but it feels like it's going to be Geno Smith, Carson Wentz, and then day 3 flyer or maybe a lottery ticket like
Drew Waller, Taylon Green, Sawyer Robertson.
Some lottery ticket, whether it's a draft guy in day 3. I mean, or I will continue to say this. I think Ty Simpson is still a possibility.
Yeah, I'm never going to hate a team picking a quarterback in the first round.
I think, and I said this a while back, that I thought the Jets would try to emulate what the Giants did, which it seems like that's exactly what they're trying to do, because they're going to bring in 2 veterans and they might go into the draft saying,
hopefully it doesn't work out for Aaron Glenn like it worked out for Brian Dable.
Well, hopefully for the Jets, if Jackson Dart's the guy, I'm okay. But if it doesn't work out for Glenn, at least it works out for
Glenn on a personal level.
Yeah, for his sake, sure. But yeah, I think Ty Simpson is absolutely still on the table at 16. And certainly if he slides past that, if he's fallen to the end of the first round, that could be a thing that they try to potentially trade up, depending on what they do with other draft capital. Obviously, we talked about this earlier in the stream. I think a Brian Thomas Jr. trade is very much a possibility at this stage, and I would not be surprised if they use 33 or 44 in that trade.
I do find it weird that Frank Reich supposedly wants this big, tall pocket passer, and Aaron Glenn seemingly likes mobile guys. So there's a weird conflict there.
Maybe. I don't know.
David Simpson with a mock draft. How about this? Reese at 2, Vega Ioane at 16.
Jacob Rodriguez.
Rodriguez, 33, 44 trade for Brian Thomas. I think 33 is a little high for Jacob Rodriguez, but I'd be thrilled with that haul.
33, you draft Jacob Rodriguez, flip Sherwood to Atlanta for a 5th. How's that?
Even if you have to do a Brock Osweiler and give up one of the 5ths to get off it,
I wouldn't do that. I'd keep Sherwood. I think Sherwood's still a valuable enough player, and you don't need the cap space.
I think he was first month and a half he was unplayable. Then he kind of
I wouldn't give draft compensation to get off the Sherwood contract, because you could just cut him after 2026, and they don't need the money right now anyway. But if you can get anything for him, 6th round pick for him, I wouldn't just trade him for nothing. I don't think I'd trade him for a 7th swap, right?
I just don't know how the league views him.
I don't know. Well,
he's a negative asset around the league.
It feels like it's another Quincy situation where he would have to go to a familiar landing spot. Atlanta makes the most sense to me. That is.
But they have. I think K. Nell's probably got to go back.
Well, Ellis is still a free agent. We don't know if Ellis is going to be back. Who else they got a linebacker? What's their linebacker room right now?
Jalen Walker is doing hybrid stuff.
They got Divine Diablo. Yeah, that's fine.
James Pierce is
Christian
not
Harris
active, so.
No, Troy Anderson. Yeah, they can use. They have playing linebacker.
I think they're just Jamal Adamsing him.
The Jamal Adamsing Devon Diablo too. I guess Diablo played linebacker before the Falcons. He was playing that a little with the Raiders. They got and Troy Anderson's also wasn't Troy Anderson he was a quarterback in college? No,
remember Montana State. He was one of the first RAS. I remember he had a 10 RAS.
Yeah.
He was FCS Sunny Styles, and then he's been bang average for his whole career.
Yeah.
There's Montana State in the NFL, a little bit different degrees of difficulty.
Yeah. Bottom line is they can use linebacker help. Looking at that depth chart right there, and even if they bring back Caden Ellis, they can still use.
You don't have to name guys, but this is what I'll sign up with.
Okay.
Let's say they generally Geno Wentz is the quarterback room. And they pretty much stand pat for the rest of free agency. Maybe they get a depth guy that doesn't impact the draft plans. You have 2, you have 16, you have 33, 30, and 44. What positions do you think they draft?
Edge rusher is very. I think edge
Reese.
at 2 is obvious, whether it's Reese or Bailey. Right now, one of those picks is wide receiver. Okay. I think the Jets made that very clear that. I don't think they're going to invest heavily in wide receiver this offseason or in free agency.
I think they really, really like Adonai Mitchell.
They might. I think they also like this wide receiver class. And right now,
reasons, good one.
Right now, if they don't trade for Brian Thomas, I would assume they take one at 16. That would be my guess. If one of the top 3 is there, I think they probably take him at 16.
And if not, I think that they might just go. Omar Cooper might not be there, but then maybe Concepcion or somebody at 33.
If not, then they might look at. I think a Brian Thomas trade, if it's going to happen, feels like it would be more closer, if not during the draft, would be my read on the situation right now. Who knows? So maybe that's something that they're kind of evaluating their draft board and seeing who's available and seeing what they want to part with for BTJ. But I would say wide receiver. I would say edge rusher. Right now, they have to go left guard.
They have to go guard.
I hope that it's not that heading into draft, but I have a feeling it's going to be. So that would be 3 picks right there. And then the other, I mean, I think the other you can go BPA, but there's obviously going to be positions that you're looking at.
I think it's between linebacker or like slot corner.
Yeah, but you don't need to do that. Like that's the thing. The good thing is you don't need to. You can go linebacker because you can potentially consider trading Sherwood, or you can draft someone because you have Demario Davis.
Trade Sherwood, I think it's automatic. It's linebacker.
Well, for sure. What I'm saying is, if you're sitting there at 33 and you like a linebacker, you could say, okay, we draft this guy. Now we probably push to trade Sherwood. Like you don't trade him before that and then do it. But whatever that other pick is, you can go in BPA. Now, if they sign an offensive lineman, Mike, if they sign Elijah Vera-Tucker, then I'm saying the only position they definitely need to address is wide receiver. With those, well, let's just say 2 is a lock for an edge rusher, or 2 is a lock for Reese or Bailey. You have 16, 33, and 44. Right now, there's 2 positions that they need to fill with those 3 picks. That's not ideal. That's not an ideal situation for them to be in. Right.
It's better than having that and not the picks, which is what they would have before, though.
No, obviously, it's good to have the picks. But I'm saying is you don't want to back yourself in a corner where you feel pressured to use 2 of your 3 premium picks on 2 specific positions. I don't love that. So if you add an out offensive lineman, now you're just saying, okay, wide receiver is the one position we need to address. We have 3 picks to do it. And we don't even have to draft someone.
And Justin Fried is frozen up a little bit, and he's back.
We almost made it through a whole stream, man.
We almost did. Well, this is one of our longer streams.
It is.
So.
What did you last hear me say?
What?
What did you last hear me say?
Who you could pick at 16.
Oh, well, I'm just saying that, yeah, I think signing an offensive lineman, you're not backed into having to use 2 of those 3 premium picks on 2 specific positions. I don't think that would be the best strategy, but it seems to be the Jets' current direction right now. I hope I'm wrong. I did say on Twitter that if the Jets re-sign Elijah Vera-Tucker after all of this, that I will take a shot of some sort of alcohol on stream. I stand by that. And I will stand by that as well if they sign him after this stream, because we'll be streaming on Wednesday. We might be back here tomorrow, Mike, depending on what happens. If the Jets make their quarterback move tomorrow, I think we should probably be back on here at some point in the evening, but we'll see.
We'll see. So join us either there or Wednesday. We'll also be live. Thank you for tuning in to this special Jet Press After Dark Free Agency Day 1 recap. Minkah Fitzpatrick, Demario Davis. They are both New York Jets. Joseph Asai, David Onyemata, all of them. New York Jets, Justin.
And hey, Kingsley Enagbari.
And Kingsley Enagbari and Dane Belton.
And Dane Belton, thank you. And Andrew Beck is back with the Jets.
Andrew Beck is back.
I saw somebody mention this in chat earlier. Jelani Woods. Not this didn't happen today, but Jelani Woods back with the Jets. Frank Reich guy.
What will we be doing without it? So, Justin, feel free to sign us off. Brian Sternbeck says hopefully we have a kicker by tomorrow. Hopefully we have a lot of things by tomorrow, especially a quarterback.
We shall see, my friend. Very active, productive first day of free agency. And again, if we're putting a little letter grade on this, I think an A- is fair. I think they made the moves that I wanted to make. I look at this Jets defense now, and I think it's decent. This is a pretty decent defense on paper. Like they're all the makings here.
Minkah was the big one.
Minkah was the big one, but man, that D line. Like I feel pretty good about the defensive line. I really did.
They're going with the mid 2000s Hawks approach of let's just get like 8 pretty good guys. And eventually, every game, one of them's got to go crazy. So,
right. And I like Demario Davis as well. Next is the offense.
Rob Davila says, "Good show, guys. Thanks for tuning in, Rob.
Appreciate it." MTO said, "Resign Max Mitchell." I do think that is probably something they'll look to do. That has been the report. Is that they're looking to bring him back as kind of. I think they liked him in that like 6th offensive lineman role last year.
That amazing draft class, and there's a non-zero chance Max Mitchell is the longest tenured member.
Oh,
of that.
I think.
Oh, Garrett, but like
outside of Garrett,
and Max Mitchell are the two that stick around. There's a chance.
It's like when Nathan Shepard just kind of kept hanging around for like 6 years. I feel like
why are you here? Like
Max Mitchell is the new age Nathan Shepard in that regard. Yeah. Next up is
he'll be our Dan Skipper.
He'll be our Dan Skipper. Next up is offense. They gotta get a quarterback first and foremost. They're gonna have to get a wide receiver at some point. I'm not sure it happens in free agency, and they need a left guard. Outside of that, sitting pretty right now. Feeling pretty good about where the Jets stand. But yeah, thank you all for joining us on this show today. This might be our longest ever episode, Mike.
It's up there.
I think we might have set a new record today. We appreciate everyone who tuned in. There was at one point, I think over 50 or 60 people in here. There was a lot of chat action. So we really do appreciate it. This was fun to do. And honestly, I was looking forward to this while I was sitting at my desk, staring at the sun outside, and it was 70 degrees. And I'm like, I want to just go for a walk. I want to just be outside right now. In my head, I was like, I'm gonna get to talk about the Jets.
This is the part, not to be like, whoa, is a sports writer. It's an awesome job. But this week is like being EMT. Like you just gotta always be by the phone.
But it's very fun because then we get to come on here and talk
do this
for an hour and 40 minutes about our silly football team that's probably gonna win 3 games next year with Geno Smith at quarterback. But anyway,
hey, I mean, after Minkah, it's got to be at least 4, right? I do think it's gonna be. I don't think they'll be 3-14 again. I hope not. But
we can shoot for the stars, Mike. Let's say 5. But anyway,
imagine if we won 5 games,
even 6. Thank you all for joining us on the show today. You can follow Mike on Twitter at @ByMikeandSean. Follow me on Twitter at Justin T. Fried. Follow the Jet Press on the Jet Press. Download the Jet Press podcast wherever you get your podcast. Check us out on YouTube and TikTok. I think we just passed 1,300 followers on TikTok and over now 1,500, I think, on YouTube. So yeah, just follow us over there. It'd be great. Subscribe, like, hit the notification bell. You can also become a member today. We appreciate everybody who does. You guys know what's new. We stream live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And whenever there is news to be had, we will be streaming. If the Jets sign a quarterback tomorrow, we will likely be back here sometime in the evening recapping day 2 of free agency. If not, we will be back here Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you all for listening to Jet Press Podcast. I've been Justin Fried. That's Mike Luciano. Mike, I am starving. I'm going to go eat some dinner. And I hope you already did this. You already did that. But I hope everyone else here, if you haven't eaten dinner already, go do it now.
That's some Jersey Mikes, but now I have to go food shopping. So
some Jersey Mikes. That's you. You're a Mike from Jersey.
We can't end the show on. Do we have to end the show on that? All right, fine. We'll end the show on that.
See you guys next time.
See you guys next time.